does anyone in your family have like a backup device that you could activate until you find your other one? Or is there a way to ping it?
Yeah, we did, and it said like it kept moving from Phoenix to I don't know where.
Oh, well, that's the problem. Is no, it's that the internet here has it's like a proxy server or something like that. So it like when I try to use Google Maps, it doesn't know where I am. So it like messes with your location. Yeah. If it thinks it's like in Kentucky or something like that, it's yeah. Simplifying expressions. What's today's date? The 11th. What? Why did two of you say the 11th and then why did I just repeat it? 2, 3, 21. I do trust you guys, but apparently I shouldn't. Simplifying expressions. All right, so announcements. Do you have your notes from last class? I hope so. We're having a open notes quiz on Friday. Go ahead. There's Khan Academy due today, and then the next Khan Academy is due February 9th. That should go in your plan book. If you are behind, we start to ask, like, hey, let me see your plan book. Oh, hey, look, you don't have this written down. Why not? Please take high-quality notes. Reminder, actually, I may check your guys' notes this Friday because I may just start checking on Fridays with a little mini mastery to use that half-hour class a little bit better. So I was going to say, remember, your notes check is on February 10th, but I may be checking this Friday, so I'll be expecting 3 days of notes at least, February 1st, 3rd, and 5th, right? Although there may not really be notes on the 5th if we're taking a quiz and whatever. Fold your paper hot dog style. We're going to use that to help us like keep things clean. The long way. Nope, that's hamburger. Hot dog. So if you want, I don't know, I'm holding it up when I could show you with my document camera. I fold my paper not all the way over to the hole, like I don't cover the holes because I don't write there. So I fold to like right there. Increase it. So under your header, you're going to draw a vertical line down because today is a lot of like practicing examples. We're going to work vertically. I am doing this to help train you guys to work problems vertically. So try these two problems as your warm-up. One on the left side, one on the right side, right? Okay, if you already got a good system that works for you, that is fine. I am just trying to encourage you to work your problems vertically and then draw a vertical line. So if you want to like fit 3 wide or 4 wide, I get it. So you should be copying down the original first. Then after you copy down the original, what is not optional? The arrows. The arrows for the distributive property. Now you could also draw the arrows beneath. You don't have to draw them above. So a lot of times I forget to leave myself space above my problem. So notice that drawing these arrows is a little tight. You can draw your arrows beneath. You just have to remember each arrow is telling us to multiply. I'm going to slide this back out to where you can't see it and keep going. I mean, you could. Who, Douglas? He's green. Oh, all right, yeah. Head over there. You might as well. It's good for you. Chat with Miss Meyer about it, but it makes sense. Might as well. Sweet. I mean, it's better to have it as much as you can. All right, so after the, well, okay, so Nate, was it you just asked about one on top, one on bottom? So let's double check if it's okay for you doing that. What did you get when you did your first arrow? The first multiplication, what did you get? What is 2 times negative 2k is what I'm asking you. Right. So do the multiplication of the numbers, then bring the variable with it. So what is 2 times negative 2? Negative 4. So you could either put minus 4 or do plus negative 4. I know you can't see me. But, huh? No. I just showed both sets. Just either on top or on bottom. Sorry, my on top was kind of squeezed in there, so I just decided on bottom would have been better. I forgot my K. Don't forget your K. And then 2 times negative 5 is a negative 10, so I could either do minus 10 or plus a negative 10. What are like terms here, variables or constants? Which ones can hang out together? The variables, right? The variables can hang out together because we have negative k and negative 4k. So since I know my k's are weird, sorry. It just happened. So bad guy, now, wait, what number is actually in front of this k? A 1. So negative 1k plus negative 4k is negative 5k plus a negative 10, right? Do the second one on your own. I'm just going to show you my solution, and you're going to have to double check if it's right. So I'm not going to take so long to solve it. So if you have questions on the first one, please ask. Otherwise, I am solving the second one and just going to show you the answer. This is review, so we can move on. Now, what number is going to be distributed here? Nope. Negative 3. That is your trap door. That the number that is being distributed here is actually your negative 3. At least try your first step. You can always change it because you're writing in pencil. At least you should be. Now I decided that today I'm just doing my negatives in parentheses. But the first multiplication that you do should yield a positive. What I mean by that is hopefully after your arrows and after your first multiplication. Isaiah, you solving this, man? You got it done? Okay, just checking. So, also guys, always tell me if you need it to be bigger. Some people have finally started telling me, hey, I can't see that. I can always try to make things bigger. So now, when we combine my like terms, Isaiah, you said if you got it done, what do my y's become together? 8y, thank you very much. And my constant just stays negative 15. Any questions on that one? Ready to step it up? No. Take a look at this one. Yeah. Guys, make sure you tell me if you need me to slow down or put things back up or whatever. This I'm going to give you a second. So actually I'm going to Don't worry, Mrs. Goldring wasn't here, so I don't know if we were actually going to do that today or not. So here's the solution we just did, right? So if you didn't get this one that we just did down, and then I'll wait. Like, I'm going to try to give you a second. Yeah, if I was you, I would draw a horizontal line under the first two problems. I started using a ruler in high school to make my notes look really clean. You could be better than me and start that right now in middle school. Be careful with the second part of the distribution here. If I was you, I would get in the habit of leaving a little bit of space above the problem to draw your arrows. Guys, you do not have to write the problem exactly like it is on the board or like in Khan Academy or whatever you want to say. When I go to write this problem, I identify that the 7 is negative. It looks like minus right now, but if there's one thing that I can brainwash you to believe through the course of this year, it should be that minus is negative. Yes?
Yeah, I'm just underlining the -7 to point out that it's -7.
Be careful. Do it twice, because if you just do it once, it looks like division. Really good idea, but underline it twice so it doesn't look like division. So, if I scooch this over, notice that instead of writing -7, I just went ahead and wrote it -7. Right? Instead of writing -7, I went ahead and wrote it as -7. So now I distribute, and I have to draw the arrows. I'm going to go ahead and draw the arrows in purple so I quit looking so Christmassy. There should be 4 arrows here. Guys, if you want to write out your multiplications, 2 times -n and 2 times -3 and -7. You don't have to write this out, but I am, just to make sure that we all understand everything that we're doing. Does anyone have questions on how each arrow is a multiplication? And if you can't do it in your head, just write it out. Guys, I was doing stuff this weekend at my house, writing stuff down. My sister and brother-in-law just bought a house, and my sister sent me a video of them all masked up, but walking around this house like measuring. My brother-in-law writing stuff down. My response, are you using graph paper? I'm not joking. That is what I responded. He made fun of me, though, because I was using graph paper and my lines weren't straight. And he said, Micah, if you're using graph paper, shouldn't your lines at least be straight? Because I drew a crooked line on a piece of graph paper. Like, look, get off me. I'm not an artist. Abby stole those skills. So now, after we do the multiplication, I'm going to switch back to green to write that. I got to pull my notes down for a second. Sorry, my camera's in the way. -2n. Check your work as I say it, right? Plus -6. Plus, somebody should tell me, plus what? What's the next? -35. All right, so I'm going to start doing that a lot more. I need to, because like I need it. My blood, my heart needs to hear you guys. So like I need you guys to start speaking up in class. I keep telling myself I'm going to do this, but now I'm going to actually remember to take note cards home today. I need to make your guys' random name cards. So I need you to get comfortable saying pass if you want to pass. Like if you really don't know what's going on, but I'm probably going to ask you like, okay, why? You're always welcome to pass, but I want to know why. Excuse me. So now if I combine my variables, let's just get in the habit of doing variables first. What do my variables become? Negative 16n. Guys, I'm going to have to start muting Lacey if nobody else participates. So don't, I just say, hey, Lacey, mute. And, she's respectful, so she would, stop. I hopefully can do the same thing with you, right, Nate? So if I combine the constants now, what do I get? Somebody not Lacey. Negative 41, right? Because they get along. I make my ones a little fancy because I started to confuse myself with messy handwriting and had to start making fancier ones. Any questions on that solution process? Hey, Natalie, I'm only asking you this because somebody else sits there in a different class and I realize they can't see. Can you see the board from there? Okay. If the glare, guys, because we're getting used to having windows, if the glare is ever too bad and you can't see whatever, just tell me. Or you can get up and mess with the windows, but they're kind of weird. There's dials. I'll show you in a second because I think it's about to get too bright for you guys to see the board. The knobs. All right, so now we get into even some trickier problems. I'm going to slide these up. But guys, this goes with your lesson on rational coefficients. So if you would like to write that down in your notes as a little ding, 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 hey, this is what we're doing. We're now dealing with rational coefficients. I think I'm going to copy this screen so I can just move these up higher so you guys can see more of my notes. What do we need to check if we're going to work with fractions? Denominators. So do we have common denominators? Yeah. So go ahead and try both of those. Sorry, it said rational coefficients. I'll scooch them back for a second. But then I'll move them when we go to solve. So rational coefficients just really means that now we're involving fractions and decimals, right? Rational means fractions and decimals. Sorry, I'm going to put my notes back up there. For anyone who was still on the last problem. For anyone who was still on the last problem. Oh, my bad. I'm not very good at this whole teaching thing. Bees, thank you for asking. Rational coefficients. If your pencil's not in your hand, what you're saying is you are already done solving both of these. Guys, today is more of a practice day. We're not really writing down vocab. We're trying to make sure that you have a chance to ask any questions that you have before I give you a mastery on this stuff on Friday. It's going to be short, but we are going to have a mastery. So in the first one here, in the one with the fractions, what can we combine, the variables or the constants? Variables, because the constant has no like term. So if we put the p's, well, first off, check the denominators. Do we have common denominators? Yes, sweet. So if I have, well, and then check, do they get along or do they fight? They get along, they're both bad guys. So we're going to put them together. We know we're going to bring the same denominator. So -4 and -2. negative 6 over 7p. Then the positive 1/7 just drops down. Any questions there? Guys, remember, you're allowed to use a calculator when you need to. However, I would encourage you to try to not use one just to bolster up your brain. Right? Bolster means to like build up or like improve, make better. So like with this decimal one, because are they going to get along or fight? They fight. Ooh, you might need a calculator to double check your work. But wait. Can't we just actually say, well, 3.2 is stronger, so take away the 1.3 from the 3, and then can't we say, well, treat this like 32 and 13? Guys, when working with decimals, remember, you can do whatever you want as long as you undo it. So if I bump both of them to the right, because you have to do the same thing, treat this like 32, negative 32, and 13. I still have to write this down, but I just wanted to make sure that I put that bug in your ear of like, hey, this could be easier. Try to make it easier. 1.3b. And guys, when I write this down, do you think I wrote minus 3.2? No, I made it negative. Yeah, plus the negative. So notice I wrote it down plus the negative. Then we identify, aha, like terms. Ba-ba-ba-bum, ba-ba-ba-bum. I'm going to go back and do some highlighting across these problems. So what is 32 take away 13? 19. So, but it's negative, right? Because the bad guy won. So negative 19b. But remember, it's not actually 19. It's 1.9. I'm going to put that in parentheses to keep things cleaned up. You don't have to do that, but it's nicer. 7.8 drops down. Any questions at this point? I beg of you, ask me questions. Let's look at this second one. So I'm going to copy this page and actually try this one here. Now, if you're anything like me, your brain is immediately saying, 8, 10, and 5. Look at all of the denominators. Why is that wrong? Why is my brain wrong? Nate? So write this down. Take a moment to write this down. I'll come to you in a second, Lisa. I don't even have it written down yet. Don't be mad at me. This is funny. You guys are a blue day, and I'm writing in a green pen. This doesn't make any sense. All right, so I finally got it written down, because I write kind of slow. Lacey, why don't I have to look at the 8 and the 10 and the 5?
Because only the 9 times in the 3/5, they aren't variables. And the 7, 8, 8, I can't pronounce it.
7/8, Sam.
7, 8, would
Guys, highlighters are one of man's best inventions. That and Post-its. No, I'm joking. There are a lot of better inventions. But highlighters are available up at the front of the room. Yeah, hey, you, all the stars, they were supposed to get your attention. If you want to use highlighters, I normally say 2 is all you need. Sometimes 3, but you don't need like 8. Then it's pointless. Then it's too many colors. 2 is normally all you need. But guys, we don't need to look at 8, 10, and 5 because we just have to look at the 10 and the 5 with each other. And the 8 and the, how do I turn a number that isn't a fraction into a fraction? Put it over a 1. So now for my variables, because I like to do variables first, but it doesn't really actually matter. You can do constants first if you want. I'm going to rewrite these in like terms. So 7/8 m. Now I'm going to do something that we haven't talked about yet. And I'm debating if we're going to write down this vocab or not. The commutative property, I think we talked about this earlier, but I don't know because the years have blurred together at this point. Thank you, COVID.
How do you spell that?
We'll write it in a second. The commutative property says I can change order of things that are just being added or multiplied as long as we make sure that we take any signs with it. So with my 7/8 m, I'm going to bring my -2m over, but I'm going to make it a common denominator at the same time, so times 8 times 8, right, okay, times 8 times 8, so -16 over 8m. Right there was my first green piece that we had up there, and my second. Now, you don't have to do that. It just makes it easier to think about. You don't have to do that. It just makes it easier. Plus 9/10 plus a negative. Shout it out. 6/10. Because remember, we want it in the common denominator. So from up here, we should be thinking, times 2. Times 2. Guys, you know I'm going to have you try one of these on your own in a second, where you have to change the denominators. So from up top, let's review and then ask if you have any questions. From up top, we said the constants have denominators of 10 and 5, so make the 5 into a 10 by doing times 2. They then drop down as 9/10 and -6/10. Now I'm going to put all my like terms together. So honestly, if you're using highlighters, you can go ahead and like make a spot for like, all right, variables and constants, right? We're going to have variables, we're going to have constants. Normally we write the stuff first, but you can go ahead and highlight some space if you want. So variables, do they get along or fight? Now who wins? Negative. Guys, one thing that I got in the habit of is you can bring your you can bring your denominator and your variable down before you figure out what the answer is. You know your denominator is going to stay the same, and you know your variable has to come down because they're like terms. So now look at the numerator, 7 and -16. The negative wins by 9. Right, -9/8 m. Same thing, we could bring the denominator. Who wins? Good guy, bad guy? Good guy now. Do not answer without thinking. 9 versus -6, right? The 9 is more powerful, stronger, so it's positive, it's plus. Questions on that one? I'm going to leave it up there, but ask that you guys, do you guys think you're ready to step it up a notch? Yeah, I think you are. Let's try both of these. Let's say I'm going to give you 5 minutes. I'm going to show my notes in a second. Try both of these, but when you're done with those, There is a trap door. There's always a trap door, pretty much. Used to be like, yeah, trap door. Woo! Because it makes life more interesting. You know, I wake up and I say, I'm going to go deal with middle schoolers' negative attitudes, but I tell myself that's a good thing because it's a challenge that I get to face each day. Mm-hmm. Nate, I'm in the process of making my own chessboard just for fun. I'll email myself a picture and show you at the end of class. Hey, Nate, do you have these done? Now, what I would love to try is if anyone is really proud of their solution and would like me to put it under the dot camera, you can stand at the board and talk it out, and then I don't have to be the only person ever solving problems. Lacey, yes, no? Nate, why is your pencil not moving? Draw. Like, draw an arrow, write down what you're trying to do. As my favorite math professor used to say, just do anything. Don't do nothing. If you're stuck on the first one, you can live watch me solve it, or you should ignore me if you're not stuck. So in our first one here, I see that we have a negative times a negative, which will make a positive. You don't need this positive sign. I just put it there as a note to myself. And then 3 times a half, the 3 is part of the numerator, right? Because if we want to make it a fraction, we can put it over a 1. Same thing with the 10. So it becomes 3 over 2 times the y. The negative times the positive becomes a negative. So we get negative 10 over 2. There are no like terms to combine there. Second one does have like terms that are going to need combined. And if you keep it tight, because if it's tight up here, then you're not venting the hot air. So if it's tight to your face. If you're stumped on your second one. I heard like a third of what you just said. notice that when I write it, instead of doing minus 3, what do I write? Plus the negative. I'm going to do it again over here inside the parentheses. And some of you are going to think it's extra. We'll go ahead and use a little bit of blue today. The 1/7 just drops down to begin with. Now, if I want to think about this as a fraction, because I'm dealing with other fractions, I can put it over 1. Negative 3 times positive 3. Let's try that again. Negative 3 times positive 3. Just shout it. Negative 9. I'm just looking for you guys to shout stuff out. And then the 7 comes down. Don't forget the variable. So the first arrow, double check your work, the first arrow gave us negative 9 over 7n. The second arrow, shout it out, 6/7. Careful, the denominator there is a 7, and it's a negative times a negative, so it becomes positive, so check your work. That should be 6/7. Then, which are like terms, variables or constants? Constants.
You could either do 7 over 7 or 1, which is probably easier. So 1 plus negative 9/7.
I think this pen is going. Ah, darn, I was going to write 7 over 7, but then you got 1 stuck in my head. Yeah, so 1/7 and 6/7, right, combined to make 1. So I'm going to go ahead and color code that of how I got it. So this is where, so when you look back in your notes and you're like, wait, where'd that 1 come from? You're like, ah, yes, that 1 came from those. Question. Yeah, I retire them to the trash can. Guys, I seriously advise you to, instead of writing minus, write the negative. Inside the binomial parentheses, not as critical, but it will still help you. Yes, just give me a second to move this around. It doesn't matter which side of the parentheses the multiplication comes from. This will probably be the last question we do today. I don't even know what our schedule is. Maybe a couple more, but if you don't get the ones at the very end, it's okay, because those are like, if you're trying to decide how much paper, I get that question. I'm going to start a new page, just so I got plenty of space. And yeah, that for me, if you're curious, now looks like this. Right, this is my page of notes. You don't have to be that clean, but these are going to be in the notebook, available to you guys. And here's my art. This really just is the page under my graph. I bleed through my graph paper with my pens, so I put that under there. Yeah, I just sit here and I make dots while I'm putting. No, I'm joking. So I'm going to write today's date to remember this is a continuation of today. So even though the negative 2.5 is on the left-hand side, it is going to distribute. So the reason I wanted to show it to you guys, and the reason I'm going to write it exactly like how they have it up there, is to show that this distributes because it is multiplied by something with 2 pieces. It's got to distribute to both pieces. So now, excuse me, I'm going to write this one out. 3 times the negative 2.5 and crud. No, nope, I am not good. Negative 8y times negative 2.5. I tripped on myself is what happened. I was like walking along. I was like, I know where I'm going. Nope, wait, I don't. So each part of this needs to be multiplied by the negative 2.5. So if I was you, because I just made this mistake and think that was just about silly, I'm going to, instead of writing it like I just wrote it, because the negative 2.5 is what's distributing, I'm going to write that first. So negative 2.5 distributes to the 3, and negative 2.5 distributes to the negative 8y. It doesn't change what we get. This doesn't change anything. It's just a different way of writing it to make sure that you don't trip up and make mistakes. I did not mean to do that. That was not on purpose. That was me just being human. And this is my true advice about that. Either way that we do that, what do we get then? How many for my constant? What is 2.5 times 3, and then we'll make it negative? Negative 7.5, right? Yeah, because 2 times 3 is 6, and then another half is 1.5. So negative 7.5. We're working in decimals, so I guess we can do that. Negative 7.5. And down or up? I'm going to do this. How about that? Negative times negative. First thing I do is make a tiny little note that this is going to be positive. Unnecessary, but I have found it helpful. Then I can just do my numbers. 8 times 2.5. That 8, 16. 16 and another half of 8. What's half of 8? So 20, right? Guys, questions? What? That's somebody else's fault. You know what I mean? You can't teach yourself. Somebody else has to do it for you. All right, so to encourage the growth mindset of mastery and everything else, you can start putting your notes away. I'm going to come around with wipes in just a second. This is a little, what would be like a Discovery Day project, right? You guys decided, I want to make my own chessboard. So this was all one piece of wood, and then I cut it down into the littler pieces and stained 4 of them, clamped it all up and glued it, right? This is all glued together with wood glue. And then sliced up those glued pieces, and it will become a chessboard. So this all still needs glued up together, but that's what I worked on my snow day. Anyone else do anything fun on your snow day? Nate, what'd you do?
I went outside and played hockey on my pond and might have broke a window. But
Might have broke a window?
yeah,
Whose window?
it was a shed window.
Oh, okay. Yours, not somebody else's, not like the neighbor.
No, I built a snowman and I painted 2 portraits, but they were like kind of Minecraft characters.
Oh, nice.
So that was fun. I had to grid it out and then mark where everything would go. And I did have to do some math for that. I had to
Love to hear that.
I can't remember what it's called.
Can't remember.
No, I had to do
All right, you guys should head on over to Miss Allie's room, please.
I had to divide 14 inches by 8.
Hmm.
So I had to do 1.175 hundredths of an inch for each section.
Yeah, that makes sense. I love math like that. It sounds like you were doing like scaling math.